Hello children, welcome to VK Sir's Physics Clinic. In the last class we discussed simple microscope and we also saw limitations of a simple microscope. We cannot make its magnifying power very large. If you remember, in case of simple microscope, magnifying power was 1 plus d by Fe. When the image comes at least distance of distinct vision, and it was d by Fe when the final image comes at infinity. Now, in both the cases you find that if Fe is very small, then M will be very large. Clear? But due to structural regions, if I want to make focal length very small, it will be difficult to make it smaller than a certain minimum value. Therefore, having a simple microscope will not be good enough if you want to see very small objects which are really very small, of the size of few microns and smaller. So, therefore, what we use is a combination of two convex lenses, and this is called compound microscope. So, today we start a discussion with compound microscope. So, what exactly is a compound microscope? What is its construction and what is working principle? Imagine there are two sliding tubes. And at the end of one tube we have one lens, at the other end of the other tube is what? The other convex lens, right? Both the lenses are placed coaxially, meaning if you go by construction of compound microscope, a compound microscope has got two convex lenses and these convex lenses are placed coaxially. One is here right, and coaxially we are placing the other lens out here. There are two lenses, you can see both the lenses have been placed coaxially. Now, the first lens which faces the object which I am planning to magnify, I will be placing in front of one of the lenses. So, which lens? This first lens which faces the object is called objective lens. Now, it has smaller aperture and smaller focal length. Very important for you to know. It has got smaller aperture, this is called aperture, smaller aperture and also smaller focal length. So, remember, the object will be kept always outside. If this is the focal point F4, the object will be kept outside just behind the focal point or the focus, right? This is called objective lens. So, objective lens is a convex lens having smaller aperture, smaller focal length. Now, the other lens which you are seeing is actually used to magnify the image found by the first lens, and this is called eyepiece lens. What lens? Eyepiece lens. This eyepiece lens, as you can clearly see, is having greater aperture and is having greater focal length compared to that of the objective. So, the first lens we have is called objective lens and the other one is eyepiece lens. So, why we call it eyepiece lens? Because actually you will be seeing the image from this side. The first lens faces the object, it is called objective, and the second lens faces, in fact, the image is used to magnify the image obtained by the objective lens, and therefore it is called what? Eyepiece lens. The image will be seen from behind the eyepiece lens. So, let us write what is the construction of this. One by objective. So, we have written construction. It consists of two convex lenses which are placed coaxially. The first lens is objective lens which is facing the object. It is a convex lens having smaller aperture and smaller focal length. The second lens is eyepiece which has slightly greater aperture and greater focal length. right? Now, we'll see how does it work, what exactly the working of a compound microscope. In fact, see children, the objective magnified is kept behind the focus of the objective lens, and obviously we will see in this case here. Let's understand how does it work. Working a compound microscope. How does a compound microscope work? Actually, there are two cases. Case 1, when image is formed at distance d. Case 1 is when image is formed at least distance of distinct vision. Let's try to understand how exactly this is happening. See children, this is our objective lens. This is our objective lens. This is the principal axis, and since it has got smaller focal length, let's assume this focal length is FO. This side also it will be FO. FO is here, and similarly FO is here. Clear? The objective magnified is kept behind the focus of the objective, and we are considering two rays. One ray is traveling parallel to the principal axis. So this ray after refraction, as you know, will pass through the focus. It will go something like this, and the other ray we are going to take through the optical center. What happens to this ray? This ray will go straight, and this is the image that you are going to get. Okay, this point we will call F4. Now, children, this eyepiece has got greater aperture and greater focal length. So, this is the eyepiece which is having greater aperture, and also it is having greater eyepiece. This is the first image that I am getting. If the object is AB, the first image is A dash, B dash. Now children, remember the two lenses are sliding at the two ends of, in fact they are placed at the two ends of two sliding tubes. One tube is this, the other is this, both are sliding. Now the distance between the lenses is adjusted in such a manner that focal length of the eyepiece comes here. Important for you to note that when the first image, which is real and inverted, is also magnified, in fact is coming within the focus of the eyepiece. And you know, whenever you place an object within the optical center and eyepiece and the focal length, then what happens? That this convex lens will start acting as a magnifying glass, right? And the final image comes somewhere out here. At what distance? Least distance of distinct vision. So let's construct the ray diagram. One ray is coming like this. This is one ray, right? Now the other ray will be going something like this. We make it dotted. As you actually extend your rays backwards, and this is the third ray which you are going to get. Okay, so you can see that the image is coming here as A dash double dash B double dash. This image is inverted, highly magnified compared to that of the object, and it is what? Real, and you can watch it from this side. You are watching it from this side. Clear? This point is O. O is for objective, and this is eyepiece. Clear? So case 1 is when the object, when the final image comes at least distance of distinct vision. Clear? In this case, remember children, the objective magnified is kept behind the focus of the objective lens. We are getting real inverted magnified image A dash B dash. Now this A dash B dash is coming between the optical center E of the eyepiece and the focus. So obviously this is the case when the convex lens will give you the role of magnifying lens, magnifying glass, and then the final image is A double dash B double dash. Clear? So here we will be writing the object. Here the objective magnified is kept between behind the objective focus FO. Real magnified and inverted image A dash B dash is obtained between focus and the objective lens E. Clear? Now image A dash B dash is magnified by the objective lens by the eyepiece as A double dash B double dash. Clear? Now we will adjust the distance between the two lenses in such a manner that the final image comes at least distance of distinct vision. We will say here the distance D. So children, the final image comes at distance D. Now from here onwards, the case is same that you have done in case of a simple microscope. When the distance, when the final image comes at the least distance of distinct vision. Clear? Now once you have done this working, we will be saying what is magnifying power. Magnifying power. What is magnifying power of compound microscope? You know m is equal to how much of children? Tan beta divided by tan alpha. Let us see children, what is tan beta and what is tan alpha? Actually, the final image is A double dash B double dash. This angle will be beta. Clear? Now see children, if we assume distances, then this is actually what? Object distance UO, and this is image distance VO. Remember, this first image A dash B dash is closer to the what? Objective lens. Very important for you to remember. And this distance is what? UE. Now what is UE children? UE is object distance and E for eyepiece, and here UO and VO are, UO is object distance and VO is image distance for the objective lens. So if you bear all these things in mind, when you look at this diagram, the tan beta will be actually A dash B dash divided by what? A dash C. Here we have, let us write the values. Tan beta is equal to A dash B dash divided by we have A dash E. Clear? And A dash B dash is what? Height of the image. Let's say this height is H dash. We can also write H dash by A dash E. So this is the value of tan beta. Now what is tan alpha? In fact, alpha is the angle subtended by the object. And what is the object here? EB. When it is placed at what distance? D. So you can imagine a situation out here that I am placing this object AB at what distance? D. Least distance of distinct vision. And now watching the naked eye without any lens, then whatever angle it is subtending is what? Actually alpha. So if I use this, then from here how much will be tan alpha, children? Tan alpha will be AB by small d, capital D, or H by D also you can write. H by D. If I insert these values out here, then tan beta is H dash divided by A dash divided by H by D. So M can also be written, children, H dash by H into D by A dash E. Let's put the value of A dash E. What is here A dash E? A dash E is actually what? UE. You can also write H dash by UE. I am not using the sign convention right now. We will be using sign convention later on. So D by UE. So children, what is H dash by H? H dash by H is actually, let's see what is H dash. H is A dash B dash. And what is H? It is EB. So it is basically size of the image by size of the object. And that's for the which lens? Objective lens. So this is magnifying power of the objective. Is magnifying power of the objective. Now what is D by UE? Let's understand. D is the image distance for, it is D is the image distance for the eyepiece, and UE is the object distance for the eyepiece. So object distance, that is V, by image distance, that is U, you have already done, is magnifying power of the eyepiece. So we come across a very important result here, that M is equal to magnifying power of objective into magnifying power of the eyepiece. So we need to calculate how much is magnifying power of the objective, and also we need to calculate how much magnifying power of the eyepiece. Okay, let's understand this. MO, that is magnifying power of the objective. You know magnifying power is what? V by U. V by U. And how much is V? V is VO. And how much is U? U is U. Now we will make an approximation here, but we will do that, let us do it later on. MO is equal to, this is equation 1, this is equation 2. MO you got VO by UO. Now VO is on the right side, is positive, UO is on the left, it is negative. So let us put the sign. We will be writing minus UO. Let us understand once again. Objective distance of, for the objective lens, image is on the right, so VO is positive, object is on the left, so it is negative. So we got how much is MO. Now the next thing we need to calculate is how much is magnifying power of the eyepiece. And see children, eyepiece is only acting as a magnifying glass, and in the last lecture we derived what is magnifying power of a simple microscope. So ME is equal to how much you can write? 1 plus D by F, and how much is F? FE. So we got MO is minus VO by UO, ME is 1 plus D by FE. So, if you place the values of MO and ME in equation 1, therefore, from equation 1, magnifying power will be minus VO by UO into 1 plus D by FE. So, children, this is magnifying power of the compound microscope. Now, we can do some modifications here in the magnifying power of the objective lens. Let us see what modifications we can do. The modification that we can do here is, now children, let us do some modifications. Let us see what VO. You can see the first image is formed very close to the objective eyepiece lens, and the distance between the objective lens and the eyepiece lens, when you slide the two tubes to make the image sharp, the distance between the two lenses, this lens and this lens, is called length of the tube, and we denote it by L. So, we will be doing some approximations that since image A dash B dash is coming very close to the eyepiece lens, then we can assume that VO is almost equal to L. So, we can say VO is nearly equal to L. That is number 1. Number 2, in fact, object is kept just behind the what? Objective focus. So, UO can be regarded as what? FO. U can be regarded as FO, where FO is the focal length of the objective. So, we will make another approximation. U is nearly equal to FO. So, if I put these values in equation number 4 here, then you can modify it. Therefore, M is equal to minus L by FO 1 plus D by FO. So, children, this is finally the modified equation. It is nearly equal to minus L by FO into 1 plus D by FE. Clear? So, this is our discussion that we had about compound microscope. In our discussion, FO is the focal length of objective and FE is the focal length of the eyepiece. So, I am sure you understood it. Go through the whole derivation in detail and try to understand the concept. In this case, here the final image is coming at the least distance of distinct vision, but we can have another case where the final image is not come at least distance of distinct vision, will come at what? Infinity. That will be case 2, and for that we have to adjust the length of a telescopic tube in such a manner that the first image is coming at FE. Okay? So, we will be seeing case 2 now. All right? Okay. Now, children, we will be discussing case 2. Case 2, when final image is at infinity. We will see under what condition the final image comes at infinity. Only slight modifications like before. This is your objective lens, and then this is the focal length, which is very small for the objective. The object is here. The first ray after refraction will pass through the focus of the objective lens. This is FO. Clear? Now we will consider another ray here through the optical center, and this will go straight. This is where the first image is coming. Now the difference is, children, you have to remember this is FO and this is Fa. We are adjusting length of the telescopic tube in such a manner that the first image A dash B dash is coming at the focus of the eyepiece lens. Now, if you remember, we had done explicitly, we had discussed what happens in a simple microscope when the object is at the focus. We found out in the discussion that the final image comes at infinity. So, see here, this is the eyepiece lens. Let us draw the rays. This is one ray extended. This is second ray extended backwards. Third ray extended backwards. And these rays will meet at what? Infinity, and you are watching it from here. Clear? And how much is the distance? This will be Fe, and this distance is Fo. So, children, in the previous case, the object, the first image A dash B dash was coming within focus. The focus was this side, Fe, and now it is coming at the focus. So, you can understand that the length of the microscopic tube has what? Increased. We have, in fact, when last time when the tubes were like this, they become like this. We have increased the length of the tube. This length L has increased. Alright. So, we say that when length of infinity, clear? When length of the telescopic tube is adjusted in such a manner that first image A dash B dash is formed at Fe, then the final image is formed at infinity. This image is in fact highly magnified, it is inverted and real is highly magnified. Now, what is the magnifying power in this case? Magnifying power, children, M will be equal to, like we derived earlier, MO into ME. If you wish, you can derive the way we derived earlier. Now, magnifying power of objective, magnifying power of objective lens, MO equals to, MO is equal to, children, minus VO by UO, which is minus L by F. This second one. And when the image comes at infinity, then we derived, and magnifying power of eyepiece. And children, remember, magnifying power of eyepiece here is the same as magnifying power of a simple microscope when the final image comes at infinity. And how much is that, if you remember? That is M is equal to D by F. In place of F, we are writing Fe, where Fe is the focal length of the eyepiece. So, we got Fo, and we know how much is, MO, and we know how much is ME. We put these values in equation 1. So, therefore, from equation 1, magnifying power is M is equal to minus L by Fo into D by Fe. So, this is the discussion that we have had. We completed just now on compound microscope, and we discussed two cases. Case 1, when the final image comes at least distance of distinct vision, and case 2, when the final image comes at infinity. Okay. So, children, we finished microscope. In the previous video, we discussed what is simple microscope, besides construction and working, and in this video in detail we discuss what is a compound microscope, how it works and in what conditions we work. Both the cases we discussed. We also derived the magnifying powers. Now we are going to discuss telescope. Telescopes are very revolutionary actually. Some of the earlier telescopes were designed by Newton and Galileo. In fact, telescopes have become indispensable part of our lives because there is saying that the future of the mankind lies into the outer space, and you will not know about outer space unless you are able to take a peep into the outer space, and for that we require telescopes. Where does a telescope differ from a microscope? There are many differences, but the major thing being a microscope has to look at very small objects which are placed close to us, whereas a telescope has to look very far away from us. And when you look at an object very far away from us, then the amount of light reaching our eyes becomes very small, and therefore you are not able to see. So a telescope is basically a light gathering equipment. Now, how much light a telescope can gather depends upon the diameter of the telescope, the telescopic lens or the mirror, right? In fact, the amount of light you can gather is directly equal to square of the diameter of the lens or the mirror. So you can very well understand that the bigger is the aperture, the more the light you can gather and more distinctly you can see the object. This is why these days you got rotating telescopes like Chandra, Hubble's telescope, which are away from the earth into the sky, where they get a clearer window and they can peep, they can look deeper into the space. Anyway, so telescopes, on the basis of assembly children, we can classify them into two categories. Remember, we are doing telescopes which are pointing heavenwards. We are not discussing terrestrial telescopes. Terrestrial telescopes are used for seeing objects on earth, right? So we are discussing basically telescopes which are astronomical, in fact which are being used for looking toward the sky, not on earth. The telescopes which are used for seeing objects on earth, they are called terrestrial telescopes. We are not discussing them. Telescopes can be classified into two categories, children, on the basis of assembly. How we assemble them, we can classify them into two categories. One is a refracting telescope, and when there is a refraction involved, it means these are based on lenses. We also call it astronomical telescope. We also call these telescopes as astronomical telescope. And then we have the other telescope, which is reflecting telescope. Reflecting telescope. As the name implies, a reflecting telescope means the second type involves what? Reflection, right? The earlier telescope, reflecting telescopes were designed by Newton. Then in 1960s, Case-Gran, one scientist from Caltech, he designed a non-reflecting telescope. It's called Case-Granian telescope. We'll be discussing what is Case-Granian telescope. Okay. So first we'll be discussing what is a refracting telescope or astronomical telescope. Okay. So number one, we have a refracting telescope, also called astronomical telescope. Okay, refracting telescope or astronomical telescope. Now children, astronomical telescope in fact consists of again two convex lenses. One is the objective lens, which is looking at the object, and the other one is eyepiece lens, which is basically used to magnify the image which is obtained by the objective lens. As I said, The telescope has to look far away, gather light from distant objects, so it has to have a greater aperture. So obviously the objective will be having greater aperture, greater focal length, and eyepiece will be having smaller aperture and smaller focal length. So in fact, if we reverse the lenses in a compound microscope, it will become a refracting telescope. Compound microscope, what we are using? Objective is having smaller aperture and smaller focal length. Here opposite, objective is having greater aperture and greater focal length. In a compound microscope, objective eyepiece was having greater aperture, here eyepiece will have smaller aperture. So they can ask easily, what will happen if we replace the lenses in a compound microscope? So we will say it will become a refracting telescope. Okay. So this is, children, construction wise, there are two lenses. One is having bigger aperture and bigger focal length, and the other one is having smaller aperture and smaller focal length. Clear? So this lens is facing the object, so it's called objective, and this other lens is being used to magnify the first image, and it is called eyepiece. Clear? So this is objective lens, and this is eyepiece lens. Focal length of the objective lens will assume as f(o), and eyepiece lens will assume as fe. Okay, children. So let's see construction. Focal length fe. So we have two lenses. We have objective lens. It has greater aperture and greater focal length because we need to gather more light, and eyepiece has smaller aperture and smaller focal length. Okay, this is smaller. Now, how we can work? How we can work with this telescope? There are two cases, just like a common microscope. When the final image comes at least distance of distinct vision, and case 2, when the final image comes at infinity. So we will be discussing both the cases, children. Working is, now we have, children, case 1. Case 1, when case 1 here we have when the final image formed at distance d. Now children, in case of a telescope, the object is placed at what? Infinity, very far away. So we will be considering these rays which are inclined at a certain angle. These rays will be parallel to each other. These rays are parallel to each other. I remember the object is somewhere here at infinity. The object is at what? Infinity. We do not know where. Somewhere it is at infinity. Now see, we have taken two rays. This is objective. So its optical center will be denoting by O, and the eyepiece will be denoting by, let's say, E. This is the convention. E. Clear? I can write aside also. We'll be writing later on. So we have taken two rays. One is this one, and this is the second. Clear? Now these rays are parallel to each other. Keep in mind, one ray is passing through the optical center O of the objective lens. It will go straight. So this ray is going straight. Now the other ray, which is parallel to this ray, after refraction will be meeting this first ray where? Will be meeting in the focal plane. Very important. Important for you to know that this will be FO. Clear? And then this ray, which you see, will be going straight. This will also be going straight. Now I will be taking another ray. I'll let these points O and E outside. So you can clearly see optical center is O and I will be writing E here. This is E and this is O. You can understand this. Now, the focus of eyepiece is here Fe. It's important for you to know. And just like the compound microscope, the two lenses are fitted at the ends of two sliding tubes. For example, you can consider one tube to be like this and then the other tube like this. One lens is fitted out here and the other lens is fitted out here. You can slide them together. Clear? That's very important for you to know. The distance between the two lenses here is called length of the telescopic tube. FO is here and FE is this side. So you can understand that the length of the telescopic tube, which is L, in fact will be less than FO plus FE. In this case, length of the telescopic tube will be less than FO plus FE. It's important for you to know this. Now, when this object here, let's say this object is, actual object is AB, first image which is real and diminished is A dash B dash. When A dash B dash will be lying between the optical center and the focus Fe, then obviously what will be the role of this eyepiece lens? It will be simply magnifying this image and will bringing this image to form at least distance of distinct vision, somewhere out here. This is image A double dash B double dash. And then let's draw the other rays. This is another ray and this is yet another ray. You are watching from this side. What is happening? The final image is real, inverted and magnified, and it's coming at least distance of distinct vision. Clear? So, ray is working now. How it is working? Now, image A double dash B double dash is real, inverted and magnified. Now children, magnified with respect to what? With respect to object, the first image A dash B dash. You have to remember that for the final image A double dash B double dash, A dash B is acting as a what? Virtual object. Clear? Clearly you can see children here that first image is coming at what distance? FO. Yes? Now this distance is UE. UE means object distance for the eyepiece, and if I go by the diagram, then I know the length of telescopic tube is what? FO plus UE. Okay. Sometimes they will ask you numericals, what is the length of the telescopic tube? So what will you say? FO plus UE. We can calculate FE. FO is generally given, so you can add these two and that will give you the total length of the telescopic tube. Now see children, what is magnifying power in this case? Magnifying power. Make sure you understand it properly. For calculating magnifying power, you see this object AB is at what? Infinity. This is at infinity. but we know it is there, right? So this object is subtending what angle? Alpha. This angle is alpha. If this angle is alpha, children, so how much will be this angle? This angle will also be alpha. Yes? And the angle subtended by the image is beta, means this angle will be how much? Beta. Clear? Now if I want to calculate magnifying power is beta by alpha, and which you know is equal to tan beta divided by tan alpha. If I know the values of tan beta and tan alpha and insert these values out here, I can calculate how much is the magnifying power. Let's see this. Tan beta from the diagram, tan beta will be A dash B dash divided by what? A dash C. And how much is tan alpha, children? Tan alpha. If I look at triangle O A dash B dash, then tan alpha will be A dash B dash divided by OA. And don't forget that OA will be equal to FO. We will be writing that later on. If I put these values here, then M becomes how much? M is equal to tan beta. Tan beta is A dash B dash divided by A dash C, and tan alpha is A dash B dash divided by OA. This will cancel out. So OA by A dash C. And children, how much is OA? When we look at the diagram, then OA is F0 or F0 or FO. It is on the right side, is positive. Here I will be writing OA is equal to F0. Now we have A dash C. The distance is on the left, so it is negative. A dash C is minus U. So M becomes FO by minus U. So children, we actually calculated what is the magnifying power of the refracting telescope when the final image is coming at what distance? Least distance of distinct vision. FO is already known to us, but only UE. U means object distance, E for eyepiece. So I have to actually calculate the value of 1 by UE. How much is that? For calculating this, children, I will be using Lenz's formula, using 1 by V minus 1 by U is equal to 1 by F for eyepiece. Let's use 1 by V. So for the eyepiece, V is equal to how much here? Minus D. V is equal to minus D. And U is equal to how much here? Minus UE. U E subscript, and F will be what? FE. So if you insert all these values out here, then what do you get? 1 divided by minus D minus 1 by UE is equal to 1 by FE. Now minus will be what? Plus. So what do we get? 1 by UE is equal to 1 by FE plus 1 by D. Yes. So I got this value 1 by UE. I will assume this is equation 1 and this is equation number 2. So I got 1 by UE out here. I already know M is equal to FO divided by minus UE. So if I put the value of 1 by UE out here, so what is the magnifying power? Therefore, from equation 2, M becomes FO by, put this value, minus one by FE plus 1 by D, and I'll take 1 by FE outside, so it can be written as minus FO by FE into 1 plus FE divided by D. So children, finally equation 3 becomes the magnifying power of the telescope, refracting telescope, when it is having the final image at infinity, and also the length of the telescopic tube will be L equals to FO plus UE. For numericals, since we already know 1 by UE, if I know FE and if I know D, I can calculate how much UE. I will put it there. In this case, don't take UE as negative. You will always take what value? The modulus or the positive value. Okay. So children, we saw this case when the final image is coming at least distance of distinct vision, right? Now we will be seeing the second case when the final image is coming at infinity. Okay. Okay children, so we completed case 1. Now case 2 is when final image comes at infinity. Final image is formed at infinity. Now only slight changes we have to do. This is our objective lens, right? Now this is our eyepiece lens. In this case, we only have to ensure that the distance between the two lenses, and distance between two lenses is known as what? Length of the telescopic tube. The distance between the two lenses is equal to sum of focal length of the objective and eyepiece. So this is our first lens, right? Now rays are coming from infinity. This is ray coming from infinity, going through the optical center, so it will pass what? Undeviate, it will go straight. This will go straight. Yes, and then the other ray we are taking parallel to it. Like before, here also the object AB is at infinity. Now this ray, children, will form a real image in the focal plane. Now this will be FO. Here we have the eyepiece lens. Now children, the interesting thing is that the distance between the two lenses is equal to sum of the focal length of the objective and FE. So eventually this point will also be FE, meaning this point will be the point of coincidence of focal length of objective and eyepiece. So going by this argument, we can say that the object, let's say this is A dash B dash, this object A dash B dash, now children, is actually at the focus of the eyepiece. This is eyepiece, optical center is denoting by E, and this is denoting by O. Clear? So if you place the object at focus of convex lens, then what happens? It forms the final image at infinity. Then let's see, this ray is going to go straight and this ray is going to also go straight. We will take another ray through the optical center. It will go like this. extend it backwards. Then you have another ray here. This ray will go straight parallel to the first ray, and this is the third ray. If you extend these rays, then they will all be parallel to each other. And your parallel rays will never meet with each other. They will only meet at what? Infinity. So when the distance between the two lenses is equal to sum of the focal length of the objective and eyepiece, then the final image will come at infinity. This distance is FO plus FE, very important for us to know. We will be writing this when formed at infinity. And children, this image will be real, inverted and highly magnified, okay? And you are going to watch it from this side. Alright? What is magnifying power in this case? Magnifying power. This is the object. So this angle is alpha. Vertically opposite this will also be how much? Alpha. And this will be beta. This is point E and this is point O. You can write E outside, in fact. The diagram will become very confusing. Let's write it here. This optical center is E. Now children, when we look at these distances, this will be FO and this will be FE. So I am sure you are clear about the distances. So magnifying power M will be equal to tan beta by tan alpha. And remember, when the final image comes at infinity, it is also called normal adjustment. Normal adjustment. They can ask you, discuss working of a telescope in normal adjustment using a ray diagram. So this is the ray diagram. Make sure ray diagram is correct. And then you can discuss that when the distance between the two lenses is equal to sum of the focal length of the objective and eyepiece, then the final image comes at infinity. So M is equal to tan beta divided by tan alpha. From the given diagram, how much is tan beta, children? Tan beta, when I look at this, will be A dash B dash divided by A dash C. And tan alpha will be equal to A dash B dash divided by O A dash. If I put these values out here, then M becomes tan beta A dash B dash divided by A dash E and we divided by A dash B dash by O dash. So this will cancel out. So M will become O A dash by A dash C. And children, in the diagram, O A dash is on the right, so it is positive plus FO, and A dash C is on the left, so it is minus negative. So therefore, we have M is equal to minus FO by FE. So clearly the negative sign shows that the image is real, magnified and inverted. Okay, let's see. Now children, we discussed refracting telescope in detail. We will be discussing now the reflecting telescope. Reflecting telescope. A reflecting telescope, children, was first designed by Newton, and currently that the one which we use was designed in 1960s by Case-Grand. So when I am talking about this, I am doing Case-Grandian telescope. Okay. This is literally much easier. See, in case of a lens, you have so many difficulties. Like I said, that if you want to look deeper into the sky, you need what? Bigger aperture. But it's difficult to make a lens, very expensive also, to make the aperture very big. Because when a lens is bigger, then it gets thicker in the middle. As it gets thicker in the middle, it starts bending under its own weight. And then a lens has image imperfections also. That's another defect we have. Aberrations. We will be discussing, in fact, once we finish this, what are defects of reflecting telescope and what are advantages of a reflecting telescope. Let's come to this construction. Actually, a reflecting telescope has got a tube like this. Tube. And then, in fact, in Cassegrain telescope, there is a hole in the middle. And this mirror, see, for structural advantage, it divided into two parts. This is a large concave paraboloid mirror. Actually, this part is never used. So, it's cut and a hole is made out here. There is an opening made. This mirror, which is seeing large concave mirror, paraboloid mirror, it is called primary mirror. We will mark this as P. This mirror we are going to mark as P. Yes, this is very large, and this part, the cut in the middle, makes no difference because this part is never getting used up. So, we don't have to use whole mirror, we can use what? The mirror in two parts. And then children, we have rays. So, this is a concave surface, it must have its center. Suppose the center is here. The center is here. Now, imagine a pair of parallel rays here. Now what will happen to these rays? When these rays will be striking the mirror, they will be reflected, and after reflection, they have a tendency to focus out here, because we know that focus is half the radius of curvature. So, what we will do is, we will place one small mirror here. It is called secondary mirror. Now, this mirror is a convex mirror. So, the parallel rays which are incident on the principal mirror, after reflection, they will be striking the what? Secondary mirror. One will be coming here, and another one will be coming here. So, see, these rays are not allowed to meet here. They are not actually allowed to meet here. Because the moment they will strike here on the convex mirror, they will be reflected. And you can see they are meeting just outside the what? The hole, and the forming an image I. Now here we will place an eyepiece, and you can clearly see the image with the help of this is eyepiece. So the design is very simple. We have a tube here. At the other end of the tube, one tube is open, which is focusing toward the sky. This is open. These are rays from infinity. And then we have a primary mirror, P, which is very large concave mirror, paraboloidal in shape. These rays are reflected, and then they are incident on the secondary mirror S, which is a convex mirror. The final image I is obtained just outside the opening between the two parts of the primary mirror, and the image is seen with the help of eyepiece. Now, this image is very sharp, is free from the image imperfections. There is no spherical aberration, there is also no chromatic aberration. We will be talking about this. So, let us see what the construction. So children, construction, it has a large concave paraboloidal mirror known as primary mirror. Here this primary mirror, it has a cut in the middle, and then a convex mirror known as secondary mirror is placed before the focus F of the concave mirror. The focus of concave mirror is here, we are placing the convex mirror out here. Clear? Now the closed end of, this is the closed end, the open end faces toward the sky. The open end of tube faces the sky. So children, this is construction which you can very easily see. Work, how does it work? We will be seeing this. What is the working of the reflecting telescope? Working. Rays traveling from infinity, children, they are reflected by the concave mirror, which is the primary mirror, and they are brought to focus at what? F. But since the secondary mirror is placed before the focus, these rays undergo reflection and the final image I is obtained. Clear? This image is virtual, upright, and also diminished. So we will be writing this working. The rays just outside the hole. Clear? And this image can be easily seen with the help of the eyepiece. The rays traveling from infinity are reflected by primary mirror to focus at F. However, they would have focused at F, however, because the convex mirror is there, they are reflected again, and the final image I is obtained just outside the hole which is provided in the middle, and it is seen with the help of eyepiece. Now, what will be the magnifying power, children? Magnifying power will depend upon the manner in which you are obtaining the image, meaning the location of the image. There are two cases like we did. Case 1, when the final image comes at least distance of distinct vision, and case 2, when the final image is obtained at infinity. So, case 1, when image is obtained at what distance? D. So, for this magnifying power M will be, children, FO by FE, 1 plus D by FE. So, what is FO? FO is focal length of the primary lens, and FE is the focal length of the secondary lens. Sorry, FE is the focal length of the eyepiece lens, this lens which we are using. In case 2, if the final image comes at infinity, case 2, when final image comes at infinity, then what will be the magnifying power? Same, we have FO by FE. So, FO is the focal length of the primary mirror, and FE is the focal length of the eyepiece that we are using out here. Clear? If radius of curvature is given, then objective focal length will be equal to radius of curvature of the parabolic mirror divided by 2. For numericals you can use, and for the eyepiece it will be given to you. Clear? Now what are advantages? See, reflecting telescope has got many advantages, and advantages of reflecting telescope will be disadvantages for refracting telescope. The first advantage is no chromatic aberration. Now what is chromatic aberration, children? In fact, this term aberration means defect in the image. When we obtain an image using a mirror, there is no chromatic aberration. Means if you obtain an image using white light, the image appears to be colored, which is an image defect, is called aberration, but there will be no such aberration. If the light is white, the image will be white. If the light is red, image will be red. So there is no chromatic aberration. Also, there is another defect, no spherical aberration. Spherical aberration, children, is elongation of the image. If the object is like it is, the image will be elongated. That's called spherical aberration. So in case of mirror, there is no chromatic aberration, also there is no spherical aberration, means there is no image defect. Now, third advantage is higher resolution. Here the image will be having higher resolution. Okay? Because there is no absorption of light here. In case of lens, there is always some absorption of light. The amount of light absorbed will be very little. So, image will be of high resolution, will be more sharp. Then, no structural difficulty. You see, when I am making a reflecting telescope, there will be no structural difficulty. I can make it very large aperture also, and the larger the aperture, the deeper I can see into the outer space. Now, easy to assemble. Easy to assemble. Is easy to assemble because you don't have to, when you make a lens, it is difficult to find such huge amount of perfect glass to design a lens. And even if you get, it takes a very long time to make it, and it's also very expensive. Besides, if you have everything, you have glass also, you have money also, still you can't make it, because if you make a bigger lens, big aperture, it will be very heavy. When it will become heavy, then it will be more thick in the middle, and as it will go to get more thick, then it will be absorbing more light. Absorbing more light means intensity of the image will be less, and when it is more thick and heavy, it will bend under its own weight. So, in other words, we cannot design a lens which will be having very large aperture. So, these are advantages. No chromatic aberration means I will not get colored images in white light, I will not get elongated images, spherical aberration is not there, high resolution, no structural difficulties, and easy to assemble. Now, if they ask what are disadvantages of refracting telescope, you can just say the opposite. It has chromatic aberration, it has spherical aberration, it has low resolution, it has structural difficulties, it is difficult to assemble. Clear? So, children, here we come to the end of optical instruments. I am sorry I showed it. Go through the lectures in detail. Okay? Thank you.